Yo, what is up, everyone? We are here, and I'm here with Paul Dow MMA, and we are going to be breaking down full card for UFC Vegas 73. And you excited, Paul?
Yeah, this is gonna be a really fun card. A lot of violent spots. Name value isn't there, but I feel like there's gonna be some fun spots here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this card too. And what I'm also was just looking at is Angela Hill. She said subscribe to her OnlyFans, posted a Twitter picture, and she looks jacked, man. I don't think I've ever seen her like that. Like, what do you think of the picture?
I mean, I don't know how she's gonna make 115. Her arms look like they weigh 115, dude. She is massive.
It just stunned me. Like, I know Couch Warrior posted it, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, okay, he has to be faking the picture. And then I just look right and I see it on her Twitter. I'm like, holy shit, this is real. like what the?
Yeah, and
But,
I saw Ben post it. I saw Ben post it.
yeah.
I know how sometimes he likes to like make jokes with it. So I thought it was like him photoshopping it. And then I saw it on couches too. I was like, what is going on?
Oh my god, honestly now I'm looking forward more to the fight now. Just after seeing that one picture, I want to see if she could even make weight. But yeah. How did you do? How did you do last week? You want to recap last week before we start?
Yeah, it was a bad card for me. I got absolutely slaughtered. It was my worst card of the year. I think I lost about a little over 6 units. It was everything just was. It was a lot of weird outcomes on the card too, but yeah, it was. Everything that I had just went the opposite way. But what are you gonna do? Bounce back week. Looking to make some money this week. How'd you do?
Yeah. I did pretty bad, man. I mean, I only went down 1.44 units, but it was like I hit my biggest bet of the night, which was the under 1.5 in the Rosenstrike fight at minus 200. I put 2 units on that, which saved my night because if I missed that bet, I would have went down. I probably would have went down like 4.44 units, but I'm a little happy I escaped that card. I went 5-6 on my circled picks. That's the worst I've ever done. And I know Brian, who's usually on Twitter. If you know Brian, he does like all these YouTuber picks, and he sums up how everyone does each week, puts in a crazy chart with all the percentages on how we're doing. And I asked him how I'm doing, and with my circle pick these last 2 weeks, man, I have been pretty off. So I'm really looking to get back on it this week. I kind of like my picks this week, and I'm looking at some bets right now that I'm really liking. I'm just waiting for DraftKings, but whenever you're ready, man, we can get straight into it with the first fight of the night.
Ready when you are.
Hell yeah. We got Takashi Sato versus Temba Gorimbo. And yeah, I'll start us off here. I think Gorimbo is a pretty good grappler. I'm not going to lie. I mean, his only loss is against someone in the PFL who's like 18-5-1, and he's a primary grappler. I think Takashi Soto is just very heavy in the southpaw stance on his lead leg and just likes to throw the counter left hand. That's usually all he's looking for. And the guy only does throw 2 significant strikes per minute. He's very low output. And yeah, he's been submitted in 3 of his losses. I know I've been hearing people say, well, Gunnar Nelson didn't submit him. How's Gorimbo going to submit him? Takashi Soto literally said just in that whole entire camp that he was practicing defending the rear naked choke because that's basically Gunnar Nelson's go-to submission. And I honestly like Gorimbo in the spot. It is a little sketchy to play him, but I don't like how tall he stands up. I don't like his striking defense. And Sato's definitely going to be live to knock him out. But the only guy he's knocked out is Jason Witt on like 4 days' notice, which just like doesn't really impress me at all. Pretty sure he's like 1-3 in the UFC. And I think I honestly like Gorimbo by decision. I like the decision only prop, which I kind of hope to get it. If it's even at lower than minus 200, I'm probably going to smash the prop. And yeah, I'm going to pick Gorimbo to win this fight by decision. I don't like Sato's takedown defense. What do you got here, Paul?
Yeah, I'm picking Gorimbo too. Not with any confidence at all. I really don't know how he got to the UFC personally. I mean, he lost his fight, then won one, and then got into the UFC. He's gonna have a big reach advantage here. He's a big welterweight. He has a lot of rangy kicks. He doesn't have much boxing, but yeah, you're right. He's not great defensively. He's a great grappler. I do think he's got good grappling. He works right to the back, but you saw like in the Fletcher fight, he's like just submission over position would just fall off the back, end up on his back, and he likes to play jiu-jitsu off his back, work for leg locks. And I mean, against Sato, maybe that'll work. Sato doesn't seem to be very well fit in the grappling. He's more of a striker, just really low output, like you said, throws a lot of feints, but he does have really good power. And you see, he does have good ground and pound. I mean, he did have one other win in the UFC when he beat Ben Saunders, and he got him out of there with ground and pound. Me personally, I like the under in this spot. I would have liked it earlier in the week at -115. At -160, I mean, these guys, 80% of their UFC losses have been inside the distance. It's not UFC losses, career losses inside the distance. That's regional too. But yeah, Gorimbo does have the clear path with grappling. Sato gives up his back, and I mean, doesn't have much of a get-up game. I think Themba can just back Sato up against the cage and look to get control of him there, wear him out. I do like the under 2.5. Maybe Themba by submission I might look at for the right price. Yeah, Themba's a pick, but a pass for me so far.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, I was waiting for that under 2.5, man. Like, I was really hoping I was going to get it as somewhat plus money, and they opened it -115, and they caught me off guard. Thank you, Bet Online. You caught me off guard because they actually posted the main card round, like, over-unders, and I think it was about, like, 13 hours later, they posted the prelim over-unders, and I was working, and I went on break, and I'm pretty sure, like, 15 minutes after like break, which I didn't check the lines were out, and I'm pretty sure it got hit in like 8 minutes. So yeah, I don't even hate it at -155 too, though. Like I don't hate it, but like I don't know. I honestly think if a finish happens, it's what I'm gonna bet, honestly. You know those double alternate methods on DraftKings?
Yeah.
I want to see if I can bet Gorimbo by submission or Sato by KO and just reduce the fight doesn't go. And hopefully get plus money. That's a good look. I don't know if you might get plus money just because I feel like those like the two clear paths. But I mean, you probably could get a decent price, and I actually like that. That I might look for that instead. Yeah, I'm definitely hunting for it. But it's the last fight they're gonna come out with too, so it's gonna take a minute. What's up, Glenbot? Yeah, we can move on to the next fight. We got Victoria Leonardo versus Natalia Silva. And you want to start us off here? You can start us off.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of you can be kind of short with this one. Natalia Silva is better, well versed in every aspect of MMA than Victoria Leonardo. Feel like the UFC is just kind of setting her up to get a highlight reel here. Probably finishes her. I think any under 2.5, Silva inside the distance, Silva KO, late props on Silva. I don't really understand this matchmaking. I mean, unless they're just trying to get her a highlight reel to get her into the top 15. But yeah, this is probably, I feel like Leonardo is probably her easiest matchup in the UFC so far. But yeah, I feel like Leonardo is just completely outclassed here. -1,000 on Silva. You can't really parlay her at that point, but I don't see a path for Leonardo here.
Yeah, I honestly think she's pretty fucked. I'm going to be quite honest with you. And I think a lot of people see it. I mean, Natalia Silva at -1,000 is intimidating, especially seeing what her price tag was against Javicius, who is pretty one-dimensional in the wrestling and just a pretty bad striker. But Victoria Leonardo, she is going to walk forward. When she's getting her success, it is in the wrestling, and it's just like eating shots in order to land a shot and just trying to get the fight to the ground at will. But Mandy Baum, I mean, she showed us how bad she was against Kim. Kim fought on a torn ACL on a 4-fight losing streak, and Mandy Baum just looked awful. And Victoria Leonardo did make it a little close, and arguably Baum was landing the more cleaner shots and probably could have gotten out of there if she had any enthusiasm to even get her out of there or any cardio. I think Natalia Silva is going to spark Leonardo. I think it could be in the first round. I think it could be in the second round. I think she's going to showcase everything. I think she's honestly better everywhere. I bet the under 2.5 at -140. I'm even shocked right now it's at -130, and I'm like arguably considering that I'm going to double down and just take Natalia Silva inside the distance. I maybe even Silva rounds 1 and 2. I just think she's going to get Leonardo out of there early. Leonardo and all 4 of her losses inside the distance comes within the under 2.5 mark. I get it. It's women's MMA. We're paying minus money for an under 2.5, but Natalia Silva is minus 1,000. And the under 2.5 is minus 140. And she was looking really great against Javicius, and in her last fight against Bleda, too, who I bet Bleda in that fight. And I knew right after round 1, when she took all of the energy just squeezing on her, that she was gassed. You could tell right away. And Natalia Silva just picked her apart. I think if she's landing the shots that she did against Bleda, who I think is way better and I think destroys Leonardo, I think she gets her out of there really early. So violence for me, Natalia Silva inside the distance, and under 2.5 is a bet for me right now that I already have tracked.
I like it.
Yeah. We can move on. Let's see what we got next. I feel like this is the Twitter fight of the week, man. Chase Hooper versus Nick Fiore. I'll start us off. I got in on Nick at plus 100, and I also got in the under 2.5 at plus 125, which is just completely like far gone now. So yeah, I did my work beating the line movement on this fight. I'm glad that I beat most of the line movement here. Because I really think that people are starting to realize that Nick has Chase Hooper matched where he's at his best, and that's on the ground. Nick's a black belt in BJJ under Renzo Gracie Philly and New Hampshire, I'm pretty sure. And his first mixed martial art was as a kid was jiu-jitsu, and pretty sure he's said that he's been competing in like tournaments. He's like 13 or like 14 years old. And that really just stuck out to me as well. And the guy does have amateur fights. I actually saw some of his amateur fights, and what is he doing? He's getting the fight to the ground, and he's just kind of controlling people, and he's destroying them. Yeah, he doesn't have a good mixed martial arts record, but I think Rebecca absolutely mauls Chase Hooper, and I think he could do it in round 1. And the shots that he was landing on Nick, and Nick even got him down in the second round and was able to win some minutes on top. This kid is really good elbows when he breaks out of the clinch too. Chase Hooper, 35% striking defense. He honestly just likes to play off his back. The kid does have terrific sprawls. He's very long for the division, obviously uses his legs to get in multiple positions where fighters are just like confused on the ground. But I hate his striking. I think it's awful. I don't think it's honestly going to improve. And yeah, 35% striking defense. Nick's also been training under Rob Font and Calvin Cater since like late of 2018 too. So he's been there for about 5 years. So he's really been working on his game. So that just really made me, I'm like, why is this guy plus money? Especially doing the film on Hooper too. I was shocked with it, but Hooper's definitely live on the ground. I think he could even submit Nick if he does get him in a pretty bad submission. That heel hook is always live, but yeah, I'm picking Nick to win this fight, and I'm picking him to win by KO in the second round.
So I am on the Hooper side. I did my tape. I saw Hooper. I capped it about Hooper minus 160, minus 170. I saw Hooper at minus 115, and I put 1.75 units on it at that. Over the weekend, I see people are loading up on the Fiore side, and I see Hooper at plus 125, and I put another unit on. So now I'm sitting at 2.75 units on Chase Hooper money line between minus 115 and plus 125. And then I see that DraftKings opens the over-under at 1.5 at minus 175. And I was thinking to myself, where is there a 35 to 40% finish in the first 7.5 minutes in this fight? And I don't really get that. So I put another 2.25 units on the over 1.5. So I'm sitting with 5 units on a Chase Hooper fight. It does not feel good at all. It makes me sick to my stomach. But I don't really understand the love for Fiore this week. I mean, Chase is going to have the volume edge. He's going to have the cardio edge. He's going to have the grappling. When a Chase doesn't settle on bottom, Fiore laid on his back the entire fight with Rebecki. Chase, when he's on his back, is looking for sweeps, looking for subs, looking for scrambles just to end up on top. And what if Fiore ends up on his back and Chase ends up on top? Chase is vicious with ground and pound. What is Fiore? Does Fiore just settle up and guard like he did the entire Rebecki fight? Like, does he and just lays on his back? I mean, who knows? You don't know anything on this kid really, except outside of his Rebecki fight. I mean, he has no pro tape out there. You don't know what this kid looks like when pushed hard against someone competitive. Obviously, Rebecki was a minus 1,000 favorite. He did what people thought he was going to do. But everyone's saying, oh, yeah, maybe Fiore has the striking advantage. But I know he landed a couple good shots on Ribeski, but Ribeski did not fear the power whatsoever. He was walking forward, just chucking bombs, just trying to hurt the kid. He was not worried about getting hurt by him. So I think Chase has the volume upside here. I think that if it goes to the ground, I think Chase is one step ahead of this kid. UFC's always been behind Chase Hooper. I mean, I think they're trying to give him a guy who they think they can beat in this spot. And Chase is actually the taller man in this spot. He's going to be 2 inches taller. If you see on his Instagram, he's putting in the work on the weights. He's trying to bulk up. He's only 23 years old. He's going to fill into his frame. He's going to be a lot bigger. And Chase Hooper was a minus 300 last fight against Steve Garcia. And now he's an underdog to a guy who has 0 decent wins. Not even good wins. He has 0 decent professional wins. So, I mean, I think Steve Garcia would be a big favorite of this Nick Fiore kid. And Steve Garcia has decent UFC wins, has good outside the UFC wins. Like Ricky Tercios, Ronnie Lawrence, he has wins over them. And Chase Hooper was coming in as a minus 300. So I think this is complete recency bias. I think Chase Hooper has overall experience and just about all. I think he's got the striking is competitive. I think he's one step ahead of Fiore in the grappling, and maybe Fiore comes out here, knocks him out in the first round. All right, then. I have egg on my face. I lose it, but with all those advantages for Chase Hooper, I feel like I'm on the right side in this.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you, especially at the plus money side on Hooper. I think this line is getting a little ridiculous, and I am on the Fiore side. But this line now at like plus 120, I mean, if you want to get in a Chase Hooper and you like him to win this weekend, get on him now. Because if I take this fight and I saw Fiore at these odds, I would not be betting him at all. But yeah, I did get in early. I got in plus 100 and also got in the under 2.5 at plus 125. So yeah, I'm definitely glad with what I got here. But I definitely like your confidence here, and you definitely did make some good points because Fiore's competition is just dog shit, man. It is dog shit besides the Rebecca fight. So.
Yeah, I mean, you did your part. You did your part. You beat the line movement on the Fury side. You beat the line movement on the under. You did what you needed to do. So
yeah,
even if you lose those bet, you beat all the value. You're on the side that all the market thinks you should be on. So, I mean, kudos to you if you win that. But Chase this week, man.
Hell yeah, man. You're on him big too. So, I mean, I only have a unit stake on that fight, and you have 5 units. So it's like I am rooting for you, but
it hurts. It hurts. It hurts inside.
Yeah, it definitely hurts. But hey, man, if you got a read and you like your confidence, man, there ain't nothing wrong with it. It might sting when you sleep, but when you win your bet, it ain't gonna be stinging. It's gonna be celebrating. So I'm rooting for you, man. But we can move on to the next fight. Little of a less anticipating fight for me. We got Ilir Latifi versus Rogerio Nascimento, and I'll start us off. I don't really hate Nascimento, but like his striking is pretty good. I think he lands pretty hard. I do like his takedowns, but it's like the guys he's taking down are very low level. Taking down Don'Tale Mayes is not impressive to me. Then goes out and gets sparked by Dawkins. He's getting the absolute shit kicked out of him against Alan Badeau. And we know what Alan Badeau is. And then, he comes out next fight and wins a split decision against Tanner Boser. Latifi, on the other hand, like, I go back and I watch the tape. I think he got a robbery against Tanner Boser. He just laid on him and did absolutely nothing, which I just hated to see. But he was able to win that fight with top control. And when this guy gets on top of you, he is big and he's really hard to get up. Pretty sure Latifi has like 72 takedowns attempted, and he's getting like 33% control time when he's winning these positions, and he's only getting controlled to like 4% and has 100% takedown defense in the UFC because not a lot of people can take this guy down and like want to take this guy down because that's where Latifi's getting his success. When he's backing up people against the cage, when he makes the fight boring. But the last fight you go watch again, Oleksiy Oleinik, I mean, I think like the first 2 takedowns he got was off like the slowest leg kick I've ever seen to the body. And Latifi kind of just walked forward and fell on him, and that was the round. And I honestly think whoever is going to win this fight, it's going to be whoever wins the controlling positions. But Yeah, Latifi's just throwing. He's just throwing like one punch. I mean, this guy doesn't even throw fucking combinations. It's just one punch, and it's just to try to grapple you, get you up against the fence, and get into his world where he can make the fight boring. Latifi is 40. What I saw today, UFC Roster Watch posted that he just re-signed with the UFC. So, I mean, I guess he's trying to just keep fighting. I mean, this is the heavyweight division. I mean, we see people fight to like 44, like 45. So, Latifi just signed with the UFC. They just added him back. So, I mean, he must have signed a contract or something. But yeah, as I said, I think whoever wins this fight, it's going to be in the control time positions. I picked yesterday on my solo breakdown video that Latifi was going to win this fight by decision and just cage pushing and making it boring. And as what Glenbach has here, I think the over 1.5 is a terrific bet. I think it's a terrific parlay piece as well. Yeah, Nascimento's a black belt, but it's like, I mean, this guy's submitting nobodies. He even had trouble taking down Bedell in the first round, which, I mean, you can't take down fucking Bedell. That just concerns me. So, yeah, with not a lot of confidence, I'm going to pick Ilir Latifi. What's Glenbach saying with that over 1.5? Hopefully it can get like a minus 170 or get like a minus 200. I'll probably just end up parlaying it up. I like it. But, yeah, I'm going to pick Latifi to win this fight by decision, but with not tons of confidence on the winner here. You on a different side here, Paul? You got a better read than me?
No, not really. This is kind of a stay away fight for me. I do end up picking the Nascimento side just because he's 10 years younger. He's got a 4-inch height advantage, 7-inch reach advantage. And to be frank, Latifi doesn't really do much. I mean, he's extremely low volume. He doesn't attempt that many takedowns because he's scared he's going to gas himself out. He's a great wrestler when he does go for it, but he's so gassy. It's scary. He looked slow. He looked lethargic versus Oleinik. Even in the striking, he was losing it to Oleinik. So I do think that Nascimento is going to have the striking edge here, especially with the volume. But he's very hittable. So I can see Latifi throwing one of his big overhands and catching him on the chin, knocking him out maybe. I do love the over. I really think the over is a good look. I'm thinking about maybe betting the over 2.5. Maybe fight goes the distance at plus money. Seeing if that, I mean, Rodrigo Nascimento has great jiu-jitsu, but I mean, you really can't submit a boulder. I mean, that's all Latifi is. There's nothing for you to take home. There's no neck for you to take home. There's no arm for you to take home. You can't take anything home from him.
No neck. This guy Latifi just has no neck. Exactly.
Literally. So, I mean, I do pick the Nascimento side. I would have liked it earlier in the week. I saw him minus 125. I didn't get there. I didn't get it. I don't have bet online, so I didn't get it. And when it came out here, it was minus 150, minus 170. But there's no tape on Nascimento on his back. You don't know what he's going to look like. There's no UFC tape. There's no regional tape of him on his back, people taking him down. So I don't really know how you're going to be able to lay minus 180, minus 200 on a guy who could literally just lay in guard like Oleinik did. So I do like the over. You can't really lay this. I can't lay this juice on Nascimento when he doesn't have the ability to determine where the fight's going to take place. I think Latifi's going to be the one that's determining if the fight is going to take place on the feet or on the mat. I don't think Nascimento is going to be able to take Latifi down. So I do think that Nascimento is going to be able to just outpoint him on the feet and take home a decision, but with very little confidence.
Do you know how bad I want to bet Latifi at plus 170 right now? But the one thing that's holding me back is that he has a decision loss against Derek Lewis.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he won the fight versus Derek Lewis. I thought he won the fight. But yeah, he didn't. He doesn't do it. Was a staring match, and I feel like this can be very much the same. But I mean, that was a 50-50 fight. I feel like this could be a 50-50 fight. So, I mean, I think right now, if you're going to bet a side, it has to be the Latifi side. I could not imagine laying nearly 2-1 on Rodrigo Nascimento in a striking match.
Exactly.
But
even a grappling, man. Like I think Latifi has more experience there. It's just, can the gas tank hold at 40? I don't know. Yeah. Glenbot's saying split.
I don't think that's a bad look.
I think it's a good look. I really do, because every Ilir Latifi fight is so damn hard to judge. Are you gonna judge him just laying on top doing absolutely nothing, or are you gonna judge the striking and the powerful shots that Nascimento's gonna land on the feet, despite, because he really might not use the grappling a lot here. I think he really might try to showcase his hands. Like, I don't know what his KO prop is right now, which, like, what is the KO prop on Nascimento? I'm a little curious. I'm gonna check it right now. It is. It's only plus 300 on Bet Online. I don't rely on Bet Online. I don't rely on Bet Online's props though. I really
they always have the worst.
Yeah, I rely on Bet Rivers and like FanDuel honestly for the juiciest props.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could move on. I think we spoke pretty long about that fight, which I'm shocked. We had some pretty good takes at the end.
Yeah.
Let's see what the next fight is. I'm on Ilir Latifi's Tapology. Let me get off. We got Orion Cosce versus Gilbert Urbina. Did I start us off last time, or did you start us off?
Yeah, you did.
You could start us off.
Yeah, kind of like the same on the last fight. I don't have a great read on this. I feel like this should be close to a pick'em, and that's where about the line is now. I feel like if you got in on Urbina early, I feel like that's probably the best side. Urbina is going to be huge at 170 if he makes the weight. He's going to be massive. He's going to have a good reach. He's got good striking, but he's got bad striking defense. He's very hittable. He's got suspect takedown defense. He gives up his back to get up, but he's always walking forward. He very good pressure until he gets tired. Then when he gets tired, he's always on the back foot, and he wilts. I feel like he's going to have the cardio edge in this spot. You got to kind of throw out the battle fight away. It was on four days notice, and he went for broke in the first round and nearly got battle out of there. I felt like that was honestly a good look for him in a loss. Orion Cosce is more of your just wrestle boxer. He's good in the clinch. He likes to control you against the cage, knees and elbow. He doesn't throw any counters. He just shells up and just like lets you get off on him until he gets hurt, and then he starts winging hooks like he did against Phil Rowe, against Blood Diamond. He's always has a consistent wrestling game plan in his fights, but I really don't know. Like, it's like what the judges are going to favor. I feel like, are they going to favor the clinch work of Cosce, or are they going to favor the striking and like the forward motion of Urbina? I am picking Urbina. Little confidence though. How about you?
Yeah. So, for me here, I see a lot of love on Urbina, and I completely get it. I went back and watched him against Sean Brady, and I think this was back in 2018, and I arguably think he won the first round. He did a lot of damage against Sean Brady in that round one. And what I was so impressed with was how he was able to maintain range with his leg kicks, with his T kicks to the body, the front kicks to even the leg. Like, he was throwing who was that? Khalil Roundtree was throwing. Like, he was even throwing those little kicks right to the knee. Like, this guy
kicks.
Kicks. He's got a vicious kicking game, man, and his hands are fast. But what Brady was able to do in that fight, that was basically to win every single minute in the grappling. But we know where Sean Brady's coming from in wrestling. We know what Jimmy's coming from. So I give Urbina a pass there. And as you said, I don't put the Ultimate Fighter house fights into capping fights at all, because that's really not a camp. You're in there at the Ultimate Fighter house, so like, you're not really getting the full look of a whole entire like mixed martial arts camp. So I don't really put those fights into perspective when I'm betting and capping fights. But when I go and look at Bryan Battle, like, he's able to go out there, hurt Bryan Battle in the first minute, take him down, even take his back. 4 days notice, as you said, up a weight class too. He just said, fuck it. He got right up off his couch and he decided to go make 185, and he had Battle on the ropes, but he gassed out, and Battle was able to take the back and choke him out. And I think the opening odds, I was going to pull it. I didn't do it. I had plus 130 in my hands. And I'm like, okay, I think people are going to keep smashing Cosce because they think the wrestling's going to work, because Battle just took him down the second round and he gasped. But I think what people realize is when they did their tape that was on like 4 days notice, and it was up a weight class, and he beat the shit out of Battle in round one. And we just saw what Battle did to Gabe Green. Cost me money. Gabe Green, honestly, with the stupidest fucking game plan I've ever seen in mixed martial arts. But back to this fight. I like Cosce's wrestling. It's not bad. He has a background wrestling pedigree. I don't know if he went to Grand Valley. I don't know what college it was. It was something with Valley. I think it was Grand Valley he went to. And as you said, like, the way he reacts to shots is terrible. His head is right in the line center, and this guy eats punches with his face. I mean, it was almost hard for me to watch the Phil Rowe fight and just see him land like 4 knees in a row right in the clinch. And Kosei just didn't fall down. The guy basically got standing TKO'd, but Keith Peterson should have called it. Phil Rowe just threw shots that he shouldn't have thrown, but Keith Peterson being Keith Peterson. And then even in the Blood Diamond fight, it's like he had trouble getting Blood Diamond down in the first round. And Blood Diamond was doing such heavy front kick game, and it was screwing up Kosei's movement on the feet bad. So it made him desperate to grapple. But I think Kosei has good cardio. The way he turns around after he gets hit hard and just like walks away, I fucking hate it. He did it against Matt Dixon. He did the same thing against Phil Rowe, and he even did it in the last fight against Blood Diamond. I think if Urbina just senses a smell of blood here and he realizes that Kosei's fading, he's gonna go for a finish. I saw the under 2.5 open minus 175, got hit down the plus 125, then went to minus 104. Now it's at minus 130, and I'm arguably considering betting it, but I don't really like Kosei's more of a control over submission. But all he's looking for when he's in top mount is elbows, and he's just like going for that orthodox choke when he's on top. But yeah, man, pick a winner here. I think Urbina can knock out Kosei with that 42% striking defense. I think his chin has been eating a fuck ton of damage, more than it should in his last 3 fights. But he is training with Uriah Faber, and I feel like Faber, as he had him in the Contender Series fight, he had him very prepared, especially going in the second and third round, as he lost the first round. So definitely got a good camp behind him, but we haven't seen Urbina in a year and a half. So yeah, this is a tough fight on a money line perspective. It's now like pick 'em. I'm gonna pick Urbina to win this fight. I might take the late shot round knockout props on him in round 2 and round 3, because I think Kosei's gonna fade with that wrestling if he can't get it to the ground. And Gilbert's got some fucking vicious knees in the clinch, and he was landing them against Brady as well. So yeah, I'm leaning violence, and I'm looking at Gilbert round 2 and round 3. I'm probably just gonna straight those 2 as well.
Yeah, I like it. You actually might have talked me into playing late props on Urbina too.
Yeah, I think Kosei is gonna fade with the wrestling if he can't get him down, especially knowing that Gilbert like even goes up to 185 too for his last fight. Like this guy has frame, man. He's long, he's tall for this division, so it's definitely not gonna come easy, especially in the first rounds. And he is going to get hit, man. The guy's tough too, so I don't think Gilbert knocks him out in round 1 unless it's like a Brian Battle against Takashi Sato, like clean head kick knockout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you saw in his fight against Sean Brady, he looked gigantic against Sean Brady. He looked massive, enormous. And yeah, I think he did. I thought he won the first round too. He had Brady hurt bad, and then he slowed up with the grappling. And
the judges scored the first round
for
him, and then they reversed it, which I don't know what happened. It was also in Brady's home state too, though.
Yeah, Philly represent.
Yeah. Were you gonna say anything, or
no? That's it. Yep, that's
okay.
Good.
All right, cool. We can move on to the next fight. We got the fight of the year, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Vanessa Demopoulos, and I'll start us off here. I did see that. I don't want to give your bet away, but I did see you're on the Karolina side. But I don't hate it. Karolina's been able to get her wrestling going lately, which has kind of been impressing me a little bit about her, but I think she's kind of worn through, man. Like I really feel like the damage that she's just been absorbing it's gonna come back to eat her. And she's wrestling Silvina Gomez Juarez, who couldn't get off the cage in her first 2 UFC fights. So it's like that. I mean, I think she's kind of like a crappy grappler. Doesn't really have a ground game off her back. Doesn't really have high level jiu-jitsu. On the other hand, it's like Vanessa Demopoulos. She's the younger fighter. Yeah, I think she lost to Jinyan Fry, but Jinyan Fry is a technical kickboxer. Like, that's not Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is going to walk forward, eat shots with her face, and try to get this fight to the ground. And what I think this fight's going to come down to is the one mistake that Karolina Kowalkiewicz is going to do. And she did it in a Jessica Pena fight. She tried to grapple her in like the first 28 seconds and then got down on the mat against a BJJ black belt and Pena, who's just vicious on the ground. And Joe Rogan even said, he's like, I don't know what Karolina Kowalkiewicz's game plan here, because this is where Pena's at her best. And Kowalkiewicz has been winning her last 2 fights in the wrestling, so she's gonna put herself in trouble. And I feel like Demopoulos is pretty nasty off her back. We know she's flexible to shit, and she is a BJJ black belt as well. That's how she started mixed martial arts as well with jiu-jitsu. So I think the one mistake that Karolina Kowalkiewicz makes, I think she's going to get armbarred. And on a prop perspective, look how the way I'm looking to play this fight is fight to end by submission, because I could see also Kowalkiewicz maybe just getting a rear naked choke somehow. But yeah, I see Kowalkiewicz is sub props like plus 2,000, and then Demopoulos by submission is plus 275. So that's probably when I would just play it a little safe and play the fight 10 by sub. I think Bet Rivers is going to give us like a plus 350, and I will be on that prop. And exactly what Glenbot said. Carolina, a decision by Vanessa by round one strip or something.
Yeah, so it's not a sexy bet, but I bet Carolina at minus 115. So I beat the line movement. She's sitting around minus 150 right now. She's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage. She's actually more of a kick. She is more of a striker instead of a grappler. I know she's really incorporated the grappling into her last few fights, but before that, she was always on the boxing, always on the kickboxing. She's extremely high volume. She's much better striker in this match. She always throws in combinations. She's always switching stances to deter her opponents from getting the takedown. She's always moving her feet. She's always on the pressure. She's always in her opponent's faces. She loves backing them up. She has 80% takedown defense, and Vanessa Demopoulos has 17% takedown accuracy. So I don't really see Vanessa Demopoulos being able to get this fight down much. She did shoot a very nice double leg against Maria Oliveira, but Maria Oliveira stands straight up and welcomes double legs like it's nothing. Vanessa Demopoulos, not really a great striker. She throws power with every strike. She's very hittable, but she's incredibly durable. She's a great grappler, obviously the black belt. She's got the stripper jitsu thing. But I feel like there's a lot of recency bias versus the Maria Oliveira fight. Maria Oliveira is a fish on her back. She is not a grappler whatsoever. She does not know what to do when she's taken down. Carolina will scramble when she's on bottom. She does end up giving up positions or arm bars like the Panay fight, which is a worry. But I don't really see Vanessa Demopoulos being able to get this down. I mean, she doesn't throw combos. She just throws overhands and just tries to shoot takedowns from very far out. I think with Carolina's 80% takedown defense, much higher volume, she's always just popping jabs in her face. She doesn't have much power, but she's always just on the jab. I think she can pretty easily outpoint Demopoulos in a 15-minute striking match. I do think that Demopoulos will have a hard time getting her down, but I do think that Carolina is much more experienced. She has way higher level competition. Yan Jianan, Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas, all the best in the division. And I do like this spot for her. So, I mean, I beat my line movement, so I did what I had to do. So.
Yeah, you did exactly what you had to do. Respect it. I forgot to add on to this fight is the one thing that I didn't like from Kowalkiewicz. Like, remember the Yan fight of like how easy she was taking her down, though? Like, I think it maybe wasn't the eye injury that happened in the first round. Maybe it was that. But
yeah, she broke her orbital bone.
Yeah, she's so damn durable, man. I don't know how the hell she didn't give up. I think in the third round, she wanted to quit, but her corner's like, no, like, you're going to fucking finish it. Go finish it. You already put yourself through this much. And she went out there and said, fuck it, and she finished the fight. So, yeah, we know Karolina Kowalkiewicz is durable as shit, so.
Yeah, she does have bad optics. I mean, it's like she doesn't like to get hit anymore since then, but I don't think Demopoulos is going to be landing very, very much. No. I mean, she's going to be landing a couple overhands, which, that could be worrisome. She could hurt her, but I don't think the volume is all on the Carolina side. But she does have bad optics, and she tends to fight close, which is a worry for me. But skill for skill, I'm betting this here, and I think that a pick'em doesn't really make too much sense.
Oh, no, it doesn't, and that's why the line is flipped, and you did your job. We can move on to the next fight. I honestly, guys, this is like one of my more favorite fights on the card, especially on the prelims. We got Maheshate versus Vladislav Borschev, and you could start us off here. I started us off last time.
Yeah, this is my favorite fight on the card by far. I cannot wait for this fight. Two amazing kickboxers, just going to be going at it. Maheshate, 8 years younger. He's enormous for a lightweight. I mean, I don't think I realized it until the Rafa Garcia fight. His he looked like a middleweight against Rafa Garcia. He looked gigantic. He's got good boxing. He loves the flying knee. Goes to it way too often, though. He cuts off the cage well when he's going forward, and he's durable as hell. But he's very low volume, and he doesn't move his head. I mean, he only landed, I think it was only like 55 strikes in a 15-minute kickboxing fight with the guy on the Contender Series, who he's never faced a striker like Slava. Slava is a accomplished kickboxer. He will throw kicks in there. I think he thought his name was Achilles Estremadura. He did not throw one leg kick. He was just on the boxing, and he hurt Maheshate quite a few times. Borschev, just unbelievable striking, fast jab, good striking defense, fantastic counters. Body work is just unbelievable. He's always throwing in combinations, and the problem with him is he's got liability in the grappling. He doesn't, what's it called? He can't defend a takedown. When he gets up, he gets mat return right away. Can't break away. But I really don't see Maheshate mixing in the takedowns. I mean, you don't see any tape of him attempting takedowns. If there is someone who does have a grappling advantage, it is Maheshate. But, I mean, both guys are going to get the fight they want here. Neither attempt takedowns. This is an extremely high-level kickboxing, but I'm going to go with the guy who has the high credited kickboxing. He's got something like 200 amateur and professional kickboxing fights. He's got way more experience outside the cage, fought much better competition. When he fought Mike Davis, he was lighting up Mike Davis on the striking. Mike Davis ended up getting 9 takedowns, but when it was on the feet, Slava landed, I think it was only on the feet for 6 minutes, and Slava landed something like 60 significant strikes. He was just, whenever he was up, he was just blasted. He's got great cardio when he's striking. It looks like he has bad cardio in like the grappling stuff, but grappling and striking cardio is completely different. I mean, Slava can kickbox for 15 rounds, but if you take him down, he's going to start to slow down. It's just a different type of cardio. So I have 2 units on Slava here. I bet it at -155. I really thought I messed up the line. It went down to like -135, and I was so mad. But now it's coming back up. People are starting to see the kickboxing accolades for him. He's at like -170 now. So I feel like I got a good price on him, and I feel like he should be more in the -200 range here.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said. You perfectly broke down the fight. Maheshate, 8 years younger, extremely goddamn big for this division. I mean, pretty sure he had trouble making weight against Garcia, so should be a little interesting to see how Maheshate comes in looking to the scales on Saturday. So that's something I'm going to keep my eye open for in this fight. Borschev striking, I mean, the accolades, you can go on about it. I mean, 200 kickboxing fights. I mean, that's an absurd amount of kickboxing fights. He's complete. The guy's hands are ridiculous. I mean, he has such fast combinations with his hands. When he throws, he lets them go, man. Has heavy leg kicks, which I also really like to see as well. Does a lot of damage to the outside and the inside part of the leg. Throws nasty body kicks. Throws them very quick. But what I do kind of see when Borschev is on the feet is he puts a lot of power into how fast he throws his shots, which I think could be a little bit of a problem here because Maheshate has his power. He did knock out Steve Garcia. We know Steve Garcia is chinny as hell. But, I mean, that was a nasty little just like right hand, right on the equilibrium that he landed. And that was because Steve Garcia got out of control. And, yeah, Borshev's fast, very technical with his hands. I really do think his hands are very underrated. But I like what I see from Maheshate, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Both are getting the fight that they want, which, like, this is why the UFC made this fight, because both have just gotten rustled in their past losses. So, yeah, I think this fight's going to be fireworks. I missed the under at 2.5 at -115, which, I mean, I would have absolutely have loved. I don't even hate it at -154. And this fight is going to be on the feet for 15 minutes. And I think someone's going to get knocked out here. I might look at a fight doesn't start round 2, try to get plus money. But I think Maheshate can light up Borschev. And I think Borschev can light up Maheshate. I mean, I've seen Borschev hurt on the regional scenes against lower level guys and guys who don't have a tall frame like Maheshate. So I think Maheshate is kind of being underlooked in this fight now, especially at where the price is going. If he hits plus 160, I might get there on him because I just feel like it's a striker versus striker matchup, and the guy who's 8 years younger, getting him where he wants to fight as well. I don't hate the dog shot, but I see Bet Online. If you didn't see what Bet Online opened on Maheshate, like round 1 KO, round 2 KO, round 3 KO, like each were over plus 4,000. And
Wow.
I saw people bet them. I know Uncle Weezy bet them. I know DFS by the numbers bet them, and I'm like shit, I fucking missed it. I'm like, how did I miss it? Because I have BetUS. I can get it on BetUS, but BetUS didn't have it, and they said it voided. So Bet Online's like, no, we fucked up, and no one's making money off us. But yeah, and I think somewhat fight to end by KO. I was talking this with Lou Bet You as well. He mentioned the fight to end by KO to me. I think that's a terrific bet as well. So that's probably where I'm gonna head for this fight. But for a winner, I think I'm gonna pick Borschev. I think I'm gonna pick Borschev by a second round knockout.
I like it.
But we could move on to the next fight. I think we're on to the main card now. We got Michael Johnson versus Diego Ferreira. And yeah, I'll start us off here. I think it's obviously striker versus grappler. We haven't seen Diego since he pretty sure he like tore his hip against Gamrot. That wasn't a sprawl. Tons of heavy sprawls in that fight. I mean, the wrestling pedigree of Dariush and Gamrot are way higher than Michael Johnson. I mean, Michael Johnson submitted in 9 of his losses. Diego knocked out in 3 of his losses. I think Michael Johnson has looked great recently. I could arguably say that he won the Malarkey fight, dropped him in the first round, and then Malarkey ended up dropping him as well. I've even seen Michael Johnson. He got hurt in like the first minute and 15 seconds of the Alan Patrick fight. And Alan Patrick hit him with like a clean right hand, which just, it kind of like sketched me. I'm like, holy shit, is like Michael Johnson's chin faded? But we haven't really seen any like boxing heavy like pressure from Diakise at all. He was just standing on the outside and in those knee pads. I mean, we have seen fighters who come out in these knee pads, and they were 0-4 last week, all the fighters coming out in these knee pads, and he got 30-27 there. But Johnson's going to have the faster boxing here. I think Diego doesn't have bad hands, but obviously the intention is going to be to get Johnson on the ground where he's at his most weak. But Johnson does have pretty good takedown defense overall, but we all know what Michael Johnson is known for. It's this goddamn guy is known for going out there and just winning every minute, and then he loses, and then the fight is just away from him. I think like I really like the under. The under got smoked. I mean, I've seen a lot of people have smoked that under. Arguably right though. I mean, especially like Diego's I think he's a 3rd-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. So if he gets Michael Johnson at any point on the ground, and Michael Johnson makes one mistake, he's getting submitted. So I think Diego is definitely the better all-around MMA fighter here, but it's can he get this fight to the ground? I think he can, but I do think Johnson's hands have improved, and I think his power. I mean, he knocked down Malarkey. I think it's pretty goddamn hard to knock down Malarkey, knowing how tough Malarkey is. So, and especially seeing Diego now, 38 years old, coming off a 1.5-year layoff, off an injury as well. And he's making like 9-hour commitment drives back and forth for camp. So all the traveling could be playing in as well. Especially, I think there's been like an 8-week camp for him. So yeah, I mean, I love violence, but it is a little overpriced now. But I see it happening. But I'm gonna pick. It's tough for me to pick a winner on this fight. But I'm gonna pick Diego to win this fight by submission. But I think if anyone's most live on this card, I think it's Michael Johnson, and it's always Michael Johnson. But the answer is going to be here. Is he going to make the fucking mistake? Because that's what everyone is scared with Michael Johnson. Is he going to make a mistake? And he might here. So, yeah, I'm going to take Diego to win this fight. And maybe a little hot take. I'm going to take him to win this fight I think he's going to win by submission in like the first like minute in the second round.
Nice. Yeah, I love the under in this fight as well. I think it's either Johnson KO, Ferreira sub, I also did bet Diego Ferreira in this spot. I bet him at -140. He's just the jiu-jitsu is just next level for him. I mean, he's still competing in black belt tournaments. He just did one a couple weeks ago where he came out and he did really good in the tournament. I don't know if he's still training at Fortis, which kind of worries me. I mean, I didn't see any pictures of him at Fortis for a couple months. He has his own gym now, which he looks like he's been training there a lot, but which kind of worries me a little bit. 38 years old. You don't know where he's at right now, but he has the style that gives Michael Johnson problems. Michael Johnson is a fantastic boxer. His 1-2 is just unbelievable. Great jab, everything. But he's got he does have really, really good takedown defense, but that's when someone shoots on him from outside, like Mark Diakese was trying to shoot on him from across the cage. His sprawl is fantastic. The way you get Mark Diakese down is you back him up like Clay Guida did against the cage, and he starts to wilt and he starts to break. And that is exactly what Diego Ferreira does. He walks forward, puts you up against the cage, works his clinch grappling, and he gets you down and he submits you. And I think that's exactly what's going to go here. It is worrisome, the year layoff, the injury, the camp, not knowing what's going on, 38 years old. But I think he has the exact style that gives Michael Johnson problems here. And another thing is Michael Johnson was just plus 275 against Mark Diakese, and now he's plus 120 against CDF. I don't really understand how that line makes any sense. Mark Diakese gave Michael Johnson the exact fight that he needed to win, and that's exactly what Michael Johnson did. But I think that Ferreira is going to work him against the cage. He's going to tire him out. He's going to find his way to his back, and he's going to get him with a rear naked choke.
Yeah, that's great as you mentioned. I didn't know that Diego wasn't at Fortis's camp. Where did you see that? I didn't.
Well,
I
so I mean, he could be still going there, but everything on his Instagram, there's not one picture of him working at Fortis. Everything is him at his own gym working, like sparring with his guys in his gym, there's no one in his gym, like no names that are in his gym. I could be wrong. I mean, it could be he's just doing it and not posting anything. Of course that could be, but it's been like months where the only pictures he's posted are pictures of him training in his gym. So maybe in the interview he'll come out and say that he's been working with Saif Saud all camp and this and that, and that'll make me feel even better because Saif Saud's one of my favorite coaches in the UFC.
Yeah, same, especially when I'm betting on fighters. Yeah. That's a great point, man. I didn't know that at all. Thank you for bringing that up. But that's exactly why you're here, though. Sharp motherfucker.
Thank you.
We got next fight. We got Andre Fialho versus Joaquin Buckley, and I can start us off here. I bet Joaquin Buckley. I parlayed him pretty early with the under 3.5 last week. I had the under 3.5 in the Almeida fight at -600. I thought it was an immortal lock, so I said, fuck it. I'm going to parlay it with Joaquin Buckley at -165 so I could reduce the price tag because, I mean, I just see in Fialho, it's like this guy's been knocked down in 4 of his losses. So is Buckley, but Buckley got knocked out by a clean, fresh head kick. That's not what Andre Fialho does. He stands straight tall. He eats punches with his face, and what I really like out of Buckley is that, I mean, I follow him on Instagram. I have been following Buckley on Instagram. Even before I started watching the UFC, just because I'd seen that he's posted some funny ass videos. So I've always been a pretty big fan of this guy. And he does have the wrestling in his background. Looked great against Curtis. And what was he doing? He's finally developing a fucking jab. Joaquin Buckley with a jab is terrifying, especially with the power that he has in his right hand. He looked great against Duraev. And on the other side, it's like, I don't like what I'm seeing from Fialho. It's like, I don't see the cardio improving. His last 3 fights, the cardio has just looked so off to me. And Buckley's cardio is improving. He's been tested to go to decision. And, I'm going to pick Joaquin Buckley to win this fight by knockout. I'm going to pick him to win by knockout, I would say, in the 2nd round. And I see what Glenbot has here. That's impressive. I did not know that. I think that over 1.5 is at -140 as well. And I know a lot of people who bet it in the last fight as well against Curtis. and it cashed. I mean, I had Curtis round 2 and I had Curtis round
Nice.
3. So I had 9-1. I had Curtis round 2.
Woo!
That was a nice cash. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you now, Fialho is not fucking Chris Curtis, especially with the boxing. So I think Buckley kind of breaks him. I think the power shots are going to be evidential, especially when he first lands. Coming down from 185. This guy's knocking out people at 185. I think 5 knockouts at 185, and is now coming down to 170. And he's been posting on his Instagram. He's been saying his weight cut's been going great for him. So I don't know if he's lying or anything, but yeah, I think Buckley's got this guy everywhere, man. I think Fialho's about to honestly have an exit out of the UFC, but he could prove me wrong. And last thing I'm going to state, I did get that parlay at -114. So I have Joaquin Buckley at -114 this weekend, and I feel pretty goddamn good about it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I am picking Buckley as well. I couldn't get to a bet on him. He's not a guy that I love to bet. I've actively been looking to fade Joaquin Buckley, if I'm being honest. I bet Curtis against him. I bet Imavov. I think I might have bet against him in all 5 of his last 5 fights. I bet Alassane against him. I bet Antonio Arroyo against him. That's how bad. I think I even bet Jordan Wright against him. That's how low I think. I don't think Joaquin Buckley to me is a guy who relies on his power. He's a brawling boxer who isn't very technical, throws winging hooks. He looked a lot more technical in his last fight against Chris Curtis, who I did bet in that fight as well. Fialho to me, I've bet against him in every single one of his UFC fights except the Cameron Van Camp fight. I don't think this guy is great. He is one of the most gassy guys I've ever seen in the UFC, especially when he needs to grapple. He falls off a cliff. I do think Buckley has the wrestling upside, but I think he can go to it to break him. I think that Buckley coming down to 170, he's going to hit a lot harder. I think he is the side in this spot. I do like violence in this spot. I think Buckley either gets starched early or Buckley breaks him later on. Even fight ends by knockout. I don't see either guy getting a submission. Hopefully I can get that a little less than I think the under I saw right now on 5 dimes was like -165, which I think is already fantastic. But if I can get maybe fight ends by KO at like -130, -125, I would love that even more. But yeah, Buckley's the higher volume guy, better gas tank, all the wrestling upside. And I think that he's going to be able to wear out Fialho and get him out of there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But what I am getting scared about now is what Glenbot's dropping in the chat. I mean, Buckley going over 1.5 in his last 5 fights. Holy shit, man.
Wow.
That's crazy to me. I mean, wow.
I had the over 1.5. Actually, I had the over 1.5 in the Curtis fight and in the Imavov fight. I had the over 1.5 for both of them.
Yeah.
Duraev, was the 2nd round finish. Royo was the 3rd round finish. And Abdulrazak went the distance. And then the fight before that, he got knocked out in the first. Then the 3 fights before that all ended under 1.5.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, maybe even the fight starts round 2, Glenbot. That could be a pretty good parlay piece too, because now you're kind of talking me onto it with these statistics you're dropping. Keep up the good work, man. I see you be doing work in Discord chats as well and on Twitter, so definitely keep up what you're doing.
That's a sweaty fight starts round 2 though.
Oh,
these guys are going to be slinging bombs.
100%. But hey, the statistics are there, so I mean, it's there.
If you're an analytics bettor, that's a great bet.
Yeah. Then. Yeah. Can move on to the next fight. We got Emily Ducote versus Lupi Godinez, and you can start us off here, Paul.
Yeah, I think both girls are all around good fighters. I think they both good boxers. They're both decent wrestlers. I think Lupi probably has the advantage with the wrestling, and Ducote probably has the technical striking advantage. She's a BJJ black belt. She just got it recently. But she's very low volume and she's very patient, which is something that kind of worries me. She kind of freezes when people get in her face. Ducote, whatever her name is, Angela Hill just walked her down and she had no answer for it. She let her get off free volume, whatever Angela Hill wanted to do. Ducote's got decent takedown defense, but she's very susceptible to double legs when she throws her combos. She kind of stands straight up. Jessica Penne isn't a great wrestler. Tried to shoot the takedowns, wasn't able to get them. I feel like this might be a buy low spot on Loopy here. I bet her at minus 135. I know everyone's kind of worried laying chalk on Loopy Godinez when she dropped the ball against Angela Hill and had a really close fight against Cynthia Calvillo. But, I mean, both ladies had a 15-minute striking match with Angela Hill. And if you look on MMA decisions, not a single media member scored a single round for Emily Ducote. But if you look on MMA decisions, there was a few people who thought Loopy actually beat Angela Hill in a striking match. Everyone is quick to jump off of Loopy as a favorite, but Calvillo was a bad stylistic matchup for her. She had the better jiu-jitsu, so Loopy didn't really want to take her to the ground. She had a much higher volume, which on rewatch, Loopy handled very well. I bet Cynthia Calvillo in that spot. Watching it live, I thought Calvillo actually won. Watching the replay, I think that you could make a case for 30-27 Loopy. Loopy coming off being a minus 400 favorite, and now she's a pick'em with a girl that Angela Hill just absolutely destroyed. I feel like this is a buy low spot on Loopy Godinez, and I think that she wins a very comfortable decision here.
Yeah, kind of on the other side here. What I saw from if you follow Just Win Baby on Twitter, he posted that Loopy Godinez was on vacation while taking this fight, and this was 2 weeks ago. And she's just kind of coming off a pretty big training camp for especially probably one of the more bigger opponents of her career in Calvillo. I understand Calvillo is coming into that fight on a losing streak, but in name value, that's probably the biggest fight that she was getting up to that moment, especially on a pay-per-view stage. But I think what the leg kicks are going to be here, I think it's going to be evident here. I think Loopy Godinez, she's tough, man. I mean, she definitely is tough, but I mean, she has no technical striking skills whatsoever. Everything is just walk forward so I can shoot a double leg and get you up against the fence. But the wrestling could be easier for her here. I mean, we are in the Apex Center, so it's going to kind of favor wrestlers and unfavor girls like Ducote, who's going to skirt on the outside. But honestly, I kind of like Ducote here. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want to bet her, but the reason why I don't is because I have been fucking shitting the bed with women's MMA, man. I think I've lost my last 4 women's MMA money lines. Pudilova stung me, man. That probably one of the more tougher losses that I had to eat ever, especially that being on the first fight of the card. But I think Ducote is the way better striker. I think her takedown defense can hold up here. Godinez does have pretty good takedowns, but I think the factor is just taking this fight on week's notice, especially knowing with that she's not on the technical striking base of Ducote, who also is young. She's 29 years old. And as I said, I think if she lands the leg kicks early, I think she's going to stop the movement of Loopy Godinez. And I said it on my breakdown video yesterday. I'm looking at Ducote round 3 KO. I think she's going to get a leg kick TKO. I think a leg kick TKO is live here. We haven't seen a lot of them, but I think she's going to absolutely annihilate the front leg of Loopy Godinez.
Yeah, I can see it. Godinez is very, very, very heavy front lead foot. But the thing that worries me is that when Angela Hill was just putting forward pressure on Ducote, she only landed 4 leg strikes against Angela Hill. She wasn't able to throw the kicks when she was getting backed up the whole time. And I feel like Loopy is going to be able to just walk her down the whole time. That was another worry for me. But after seeing that once she was able to just get walked down and she wasn't able to throw them off her back foot, she seems like she kind of gets confused when people are putting the pressure on her. That is one of the main reasons why I bet Loopy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. We're on different sides, so it's definitely better to be on different sides. But yeah, we could move on. We got Edmund Shabazyan versus Anthony Hernandez. Kind of wish this was the main event. I'll start us off here. Yeah, grappler versus striker. Shabazyan's come up on the UFC was fast. I mean, knocking out Brad Tavares with that head kick is absolutely disgusting. But when we first saw this guy versus a grappler, he got fucking broken down by Derek Brunson. I know Derek Brunson has good cardio in the first 2 rounds where he kind of like, I think in the first round, Brunson didn't really get him down and was eating tons of shots and was able to survive the adversity. And Shabazyan gassed himself. He got gassed in an Imavov fight. And what really concerns me is what we just saw fucking Sir Algan fight John Jones. Train no fucking grappling, no wrestling. And Imavov was able to go out there and get this guy into like 2 crucifix positions and make him look like he's just a dominant wrestler. And Imavov is not a dominant wrestler. So I think if Anthony Hernandez gets the double legs and he gets on top of Shabazyan, I honestly think he's probably going to submit Shabazyan. But I think he's going to win a lot of the minutes here on the ground. But both have 46% striking defense, which I kind of do favors Shabazyan a little bit going into this fight. I mean, 46% striking defense isn't good. And Anthony Hernandez's last loss, I'm pretty sure, was by a knockout in Kevin Holland in like the first 40 seconds of the fight. So Shabazyan is definitely at his most live in the first round. He did look like he slowed it up against Dolce, but Dolce was being Dolce, just throwing everything powerful and nothing technical. And it was easier for Shabazyan to be more technical against a guy who isn't technical at all. And was kind of able to even have him up against the fence for a little bit of that fight, too. I actually had that fight to end by KO as well. But I do like violence here. I like the under. I saw someone on Twitter get the under 2.5 and minus 140. And like what I would have done for that line. Holy shit, man. But probably going to parlay. The fight doesn't go to decision. On a money line perspective, I'm going to pick Hernandez to win this fight. I'm going to pick Hernandez to win this fight by submission.
Yeah, this fight is pretty binary. Striker versus grappler, where Edmund needs to put Fluffy away in the first round with his striking, or Fluffy is going to him. His wrestling, his pace, his cardio is just unbelievable. 6.5 takedowns per 15 minutes is just unheard of. I think Edmund is going to get drowned here by Fluff, and he's going to get finished late. I love the under here as well. 86% finish rate between the two, as well as 80% losses are inside the distance in their career. I think Fluffy gets the late finish here. But you can't count out Edmund starching Fluffy out early here. His striking is very crisp, but if he doesn't get him out of here in the first 7 minutes, I really think Fluffy is gonna break him really bad. I think the under is great. Fluffy round 3, I saw on Bet Online is like plus 550. Like they know what's gonna be going on. So hopefully FanDuel gives us like a plus like 900 plus 1,000, and I'll definitely be playing Fluffy round 3.
Just let me tell you something about Bet Online's props. Okay, they have Andre Fialho money line, right? Plus 185. What do you think his inside the distance prop is?
Was it like plus 175?
Plus 185. It's the same as the money line. Yeah, it's just I said Bet Online in their props. I don't like to trust them, but like when I see shit like that, I'm like,
yeah, no,
fuck, man. I'm like, come on now, like you don't want to give us any value.
They know.
Yeah, they know.
Yep,
but
they know.
I know I got a Bet Rivers, and I know I be getting these lines on Bet Rivers. I mean, you probably be seeing me posting them. I get some stupid lines on Bet Rivers early, and I'm definitely waiting for them to drop a round 2 and round 3 prop on Hernandez here, and I know they're gonna fuck it up, and I will be jumping it. But move on to the main event. The main event here. This whole thing with the main event. I mean, this fight got moved. It was like co-main event. Now it's a 5-rounder, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, Angela Hill. Holy shit! I mean, she looks jacked out of her mind. I was shocked to see how she looked. I mean, I don't know how she's gonna make 115 looking like that. And if you guys want to see what I'm talking about, go on Angela Hill's Twitter. Oh, and if you want to see a close-up look, go subscribe to her OnlyFans as well. I will not be subscribing to her OnlyFans. I just see the picture on Twitter. But back to the breakdown of the fight. I think Hill's the better striker, obviously. I don't like Dern on the feet. Just walks forward, eats punches with her face, willing to just get any hold of you in the clinch where she's at her most dangerous. This girl has multiple variety of submissions. Master on the ground. I mean, pretty sure she's ranked on Tapology in like a top like 70 grapplers of all time. So they just know her ground game is it's vicious, and she showed pretty good ground and pound in her last fight. I was a little shocked with the ground and pound that she had on Yan. I do think Yan's a good striker, but we could maybe arguably say that Angela Hill could be close to Yan in like, I would say like Yan's definitely a better striker than Hill, but I would say Hill is more technical, which could be a problem for Dern, especially the way she moves on the outside. And the sprawls she had with Janny Roba really impressed me as well. I mean, Janny Roba had her in multiple bad spots, and I just had a bet on Marina Rodriguez and got destroyed with Marina Rodriguez. And Janny Roba did prove a lot to me in that fight as well. So it really did show me how high level the Hill was. And Hill even went for one of her own submissions as well in the sprawl, which even shocked me as well. She did get taken down. She kind of got drained. I do think Janny Roba's open mat wrestling is better than Mackenzie Dern's. I'm pretty sure Mackenzie Dern's like 5 of like 44 on takedowns. Great stat by Glenbot here as well. Over 2.5, 9 of their last 10 fights. I think that's a good parlay piece as well. Picking to win this fight though, I'm looking at this fight from like a crazy prop perspective. Like I think I'm gonna bet Angela Hill round 4. I think I'm gonna bet her round 5. And if Bet Online has round 5 at plus 4,500, I can only imagine what Bet Rivers or FanDuel is going to open at. So I'll be having my eye open for that because I think the damage is going to eat up on the face of Dern. But I mean, with all the muscle mass that Angela Hill is coming into this fight with, I mean, I think she's coming in with the intentions of like, this is 5 rounds. Fuck these judges. All they do is screw me. So why not come in here and just look shredded out of my shit and just try to get a finish in Mackenzie Dern, who is nothing, honestly, on the feet. Her striking can improve, but she just wants to get the fight to the ground. I mean, that's where she's at her best. And that's where she's finishing fights nice and early and not taking any damage. And I don't think the damage is going to be worth to eat in this fight. So I am looking at the fight doesn't go. As Glenbot is saying, like statistically, the over 2.5 is a good look, but personally, what I see on the tape, especially when I get a striker versus grappler matchup, and I get the fight doesn't go in a 5-round fight at even money, I like it. And just knowing how vicious, I think Dern has a better submission game and has better submissions than Janny Roba. I don't know if that's a little bit of a hot take, but I do think Dern is more lethal on the ground than Janny Roba. But I do think Janny Roba has better wrestling than Hill. But I'm gonna picking to win this fight. Maybe I might pick Mackenzie Dern. I think she can get a submission in round 2 or round 3. But my bet here is probably the fight doesn't go, and I'm waiting for it to get it plus money.
Yeah, this is another striker versus grappler matchup. Mackenzie Dern, otherworldly jiu-jitsu. I mean, she might be the best jiu-jitsu player in the UFC outside of maybe Rodolfo Vieira, male or female. I mean, it's just her grappling is fantastic. Her striking is still a liability though, and the 11% takedown accuracy is just pitiful. But it's one takedown and the fight could be over. I mean, Jandaroba had her chances to get the sub on Hill. She had the Kimura, she had the back, she had a knee bar. She was in a lot of situations to finish Angela Hill. 38 years old, kind of worries me, but high volume, very skilled striker. She pumps a jab, always throwing in combo. She's brutal in the Muay Thai clinch with knees and elbows. Very clear striking advantage here, but her grappling was always her downfall, but she's worked extremely hard on her takedown defense and her sub defense. Her takedown defense now sitting at 77%, which is very, very, very good compared to the 11% takedown accuracy of Mackenzie Dern. And Angela Hill looked career best versus Ducote. I know it was a striking match, which is exactly what she needed, but she looked like she wanted to hurt Ducote, and she looked like she was about to finish her a couple times. I do know one fight could be over. It could be the one takedown in the fight could be over very shortly after. But the 5-round fight, I think, drastically favors Hill. If Dern isn't able to get the submission, she's going to need 3 takedowns to win the decision. which I find that very hard to believe she's going to be fine. 3 takedowns. Verna Jandarova is a much better wrestler, much better chain grappler against the cage. Her takedowns against her chain wrestling against the cage, Verna is very, very, very good in women's MMA. I feel like Dern, yeah, she can pull guard, but are you really willing to lay -200 on someone who needs to pull guard to win the fight? I really can't see that. I can't. People have been burned many times on Dern -200. Marina Rodriguez, Yan Xiaonan, -200, burned them both times. I think that it could happen again here. I like Hill money line. I like Hill decision. I did bet Hill money line at +165. You can't even get that number anymore, so I did my part again with that fight. And yeah, I think Hill can win this fight. I think she can definitely finish Mackenzie Dern late.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that's probably why I'm on the fight doesn't go to decision. Glimbot, the finish only prop. I mean, I don't hate it, but I think the cardio and the willing of pulling guard and the amount of submissions that she's going to go for whenever she gets this fight to the ground could play a dividend to her late in a 5-round fight, especially as she gasses. And I know Hill's cardio is on point, but I mean, all it takes definitely is one mistake against Dern on the ground. And I do think the jiu-jitsu level of Dern, as you said, is probably the best in the UFC next to Rodolfo Vieira. But,
I think even maybe sorry me to cut you off, but I think maybe a Hill decision only could be a really good spot. See where they put that out. I think they might be keen to that because I feel like that I don't really see much decision equity for Mackenzie Dern. I feel like if she's going to win, if she's going to get the takedown, she's going to find the sub eventually. So, and I don't think she gets her down 3 times. I really don't. And I don't see her winning a round striking either.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a terrific look as well. Definitely, Glenblatt. That's why we're here, man. Appreciate you coming in. And yeah, guys, that's it. Me and Paul just broke down the full card for UFC Vegas 73. What are predictions and bets that we have so far as well. I know Paul has a shit ton of units on this card. I know he's very heavily invested. And if you guys aren't following Paul on Twitter, definitely go follow him on Twitter because he was dropping like 5 picks before I even got to the film on this card. And he did his work because he beat most of the lines on, I would say, 5 of his 7 bets. So go check him out. He's doing great work on Twitter. Posts all his bets as well. He has track bets on Bet MMA Tips as well. So, very glad that I was able to get him on here. And yeah, Paul, take it away. I mean, you're just on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I just post on Twitter.
Find you? Okay.
Yeah, I just post on Twitter. Prop, thank you so much for having me on, man. It was a pleasure breaking down the fights with you, dude. Anytime you ever want someone to come on and chop up the fights, dude, hit me up. You know my Twitter. Yeah, follow my Twitter. I post all my bets. I post week to week how I'm doing. I'm up, I believe 25 units on the year right now. I'm up almost over 50 units in the 2 years I've been tracking. I post my jiu-jitsu stuff on there. I'm always doing competitions and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, a follow would be really great appreciated.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for coming in. And yeah, guys, let's make some money this weekend. Next week is an off week, so I don't know if I'm going to be posting with guests, but I'm going to try to get my full card breakdown out for UFC. What is it that the next week
Vegas
after?
74.
Okay, yeah.
It's
so
Vegas
I'll be getting,
74.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be trying to get the solo breakdown out for UFC Vegas 74 next week. And appreciate you, J-Bone, as well for tuning in. Thank you, Glenbot. Thank you, Kiwi. Thank you, Silky. Thank you, Mushroom. And thank you, Glenbot, if I didn't say your name. But yeah, and thank you, Paul, as well, for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm really glad that you were able to come and join on and break down this card with me. And yeah, guys, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You guys know what to do. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe. You guys can find me on Twitter at MMA_Propaholic. And I dropped my solo breakdown yesterday for this card as well, if you guys haven't watched it yet, so you guys can tune into that. And yeah, guys, I have my Bet MMA tips as well linked. I'm going to be linking everything in the description below. And I'm going to edit after. I'm going to put timestamps on the video as well. So I'm going to do some editing, and then I'll be releasing it. So yeah, guys, thank you to everyone who tuned in live, and thank you to everyone who's going to be tuning in if you're not live. And let's make some money this weekend. Thank you, everyone.